Welcome to Page to Screen, the podcast where Nikki and Christina discuss books that were turned into movies and films that were adapted from books. As always, we do remind you that spoilers lay ahead. Now, we invite you to decide with us the age-old question, which is better, the book or the movie?
Who can take a sunrise, sprinkle it with dew, cover it up with chocolate, and make a miracle or two?
Oh.
Page to Screen can. Oh. Yeah, we can. I mean, I don't know if we actually can, but I'm sure we could if we tried. Welcome back to Page to Screen. Joining, as always, is my favorite golden ticket finder, Christina.
Nikki, how are you doing today?
I'm scrumdiddlyumptious.
Oh, we better start because the suspense is killing me.
Oh.
I hope it'll last.
Oh my goodness. I'm so excited. This is our Easter-ish episode.
This is Easter. This is for sure Easter.
Yeah. And we're celebrating the greatest part of Easter, the most important part of Easter, why we gather on Easter. Chocolate.
Yes. Yes, we're talking about Willy Wonka, his chocolate, and his factory. So we're doing the 1964 children's novel by Roald Dahl, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and the 1971 film adaptation starring Gene Wilder with the slightly revised name that starts now with Willy Wonka instead of Charlie.
Yeah. It's weird calling it Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory versus Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Well, yeah, from like a plot standpoint, it makes more sense for it to be Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but I understand why they changed the name for the film. It does make more sense from like a like the one thing I saw that the producer said is if you have a long title, people shorten it, and if they said I just saw Willy Wonka versus I just saw Charlie, there's a big difference between the two.
I said Charlie too. Where'd you see him? At the grocery store?
On the big screen.
Wow.
It's really going places, that Chuck.
Yeah. Look at him go. Who'd have thunk, huh? Full honesty, this is my first time reading the book.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've read, like, Matilda, and we were just talking about this. I've read Matilda. I've read the BFG so many times. It's one of my favorite books.
The BFG always makes me laugh because I always imagine it's the big fucking giant.
I think that's probably what he meant for it to be. I've loved that book forever. That was one of the books that I can remember being read in school.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like first, second grade, and it's something that I read every year in school. Gotta get those personal pan pizza points, y'all.
See, it's funny you mentioned second grade because I believe that's the age I read Charlie and the Chocolate Factory for the first time. I'm pretty sure it was around second grade.
Yeah. I think that's when most people are introduced.
Yeah.
To this magical world of Roald Dahl.
But you grew up on the 1971 movie, same as me, right?
There is only one movie. What are you talking about?
I actually went back and I rewatched the 2005 one last night.
There's only one movie, right?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I forgot.
Thank you. Why would you...
My mistake.
Okay, all jokes aside, why would you go and watch the movie?
Grayson, my dog, wasn't sleeping. I had some time to kill. I had already finished everything I needed to do, and I thought, what the hell? So I just kind of threw it on because I hate myself.
I thought you were going to say Grayson had the remote and he hit a button. I was like, you gotta do something about that dog. Like, that's what he's gonna be doing. I still remember seeing the newer non-existent version in a fever dream. I did see it. Because I can remember I was working at Hot Topic around the time that movie came out, and I hated every minute of every person who came in looking for stupid Willy Wonka glasses.
I walked in and I bought a Willy Wonka t-shirt when that movie came out.
Did it have Johnny Depp on it?
Yes, it did.
With his short haircut and his stupid white glasses?
No, it was the teaser poster with him looking down with the cane off to the side. Yeah.
Because that was a popular shirt, and so it's the one where he's got his glasses, he's off to the side of the shirt. You know that. Everyone knows
I know what you're talking about.
This is a very niche conversation for people who worked at Hot Topic during the time that the Willy Wonka movie came out.
I read something interesting last night because with the newer movie, the 2005 one, I read this article about it. It was like a review that basically said that the movie was so freaking successful when it came out and the reviews weren't terrible, but they're like, looking back at it now, the only reason is because that was both Tim Burton and Johnny Depp at the very extreme height of their popularity. Yeah. And had that movie come out now the exact same way, it probably would not be successful.
No, it would not. It would not have been successful. Especially, I will say this, we're not comparing the book to that movie. We're only comparing it to one. But I will say that it is indeed a page-to-screen adaptation. It's pretty solid.
It has a lot of stuff that was cut from or changed due to budget from the 1971 film, but it's actually less similar to Willy Wonka as a character, whereas Willy Wonka in the 1971 version is still not the same as the book. Like, he's not a slaver, for example, but he is a lot closer.
Yeah. I will say that my issue with the newer non-existent film, is that it follows a part of the book that I hated.
Yeah.
And that is the perfection of Charlie Buckets.
Yeah.
He is so... Okay, let's get into this book. Charlie Bucket is poor as poor can be. Poorer than poor. Mm-hmm. Right? They say that he eats a piece of bread for breakfast. I guess he doesn't eat lunch, because then dinner is cabbage soup. Which,
have you ever had cabbage soup?
I've made my own cabbage soup. And
it's definitely cabbage soup.
It is. I love cabbage soup.
I think it's fine too, but not to eat every day.
No, you cannot eat it every day. Oh my God. But what's great about cabbage is it fills you up. Mm-hmm. That's why cabbage soup is good for poor people like Charlie and me.
Like Charlie Bucket.
But Charlie actually has a stay-at-home mom, a dad who works at a toothpaste factory where he screws on the caps on toothpaste, and then he still has 4 lazy old people.
Yeah.
But the big difference, between the book and the movie, besides the fact that he has his dad, Charlie also doesn't have a job. He just goes to school. Mm-hmm. Charlie's just too perfect in the book. He's just too perfect.
Yeah, and because you mentioned that he doesn't have a job in the freaking get a job, Charlie.
Yeah, come on, support your family much.
What are you, 6? It's time to get a job, Charlie. No, I think that some of the changes in the 71 film of like making the mom a single mother and having Charlie work, I kind of liked it as like a difference, because I think that there's something that just feels very real about it, and it almost makes you feel like those other films in like the 70s and the 80s that showed like a really gritty New York. Like, it's obviously not a gritty movie at all, but it does just feel a little bit more like a modern tale of poverty to have a single mother and to have a little kid with a job. Even if that job is just babysitting or running the newspaper, it's still a job, and it's still something that he's not doing it so that he can go buy comic books. He's doing it because the family's not going to survive.
Yeah, it's a great way to not date the film.
Yeah.
So like you can watch it, like we literally just watched this movie and it still feels like it could happen any day. I mean, yeah. I don't think a man's just going to open up a chocolate factory and let kids run around wild for no reason. But I feel like every other part that's grounded in reality could happen at any point.
Yeah.
And that's also, like, to the point with the film, they don't really make a point of identifying Well, they do for a couple kids, but like Veruca and Charlie, you don't know where they're at. Like, I have no idea where this chocolate factory is in the world. Like, it's just
I love
there.
that. I love that. I love the ambiguity of it. And I think it's cool that there's a feeling with Roald Dahl books that you're not too sure where it's taking place. And it's such a fairy tale that they all feel like fairy tales inherently feel like European, which is strange. And when I read these, I just kind of assume that they take place somewhere in England.
Always. Always, always.
Right? Is that weird? And then watching the movie, I had to remind myself that the majority of main characters are American because it still feels like this is taking place somewhere in the UK. And even like the production of it feels like it's a UK production. And it's so bizarre to think like this is modern times and I think it might be in America.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't, it's just kind of like throw a dart at a map. That's where it's at, Christina. Don't even worry about it. Yeah, because they don't mention it in the book. They don't mention it in the movie. It just is there. Yeah. But can you imagine how torturous it would be to be Charlie? And he lives steps away from this chocolate factory. Yeah. And every day, in the book, they make a point of saying every day he walks by the chocolate factory and he stops and he sticks his nose up in the air and he smells the sweet smell of chocolate and then he goes about his day. Yeah. Charlie in the book has depressed me to a point that I didn't think I could be depressed. Yeah. Because then his dad loses his job and he has to start shoveling snow. Yeah. And they're basically starving to death. They talk about it like they're not eating. Charlie is like ghost white. He starts staying indoors when all the kids are playing outside because he wants to save up his energy.
It's so sad.
Why aren't the teachers at his school helping him? Like, where does he go to school at? Florida? Come on. Like, somebody reach out and give him a helping hand.
And, you know, in a way, it also makes... It also makes Willy Wonka kind of come off as a bad guy. Like, you've got this major industry in the middle of this area, and yet you're not giving back jobs to the areas around. You know what I mean? Like, this kind of comes into a lot of what we talk about now with, like, oh, Walmart is moving into a town or Amazon's moving into a town, but are they going to take jobs or are they going to give jobs? Yeah. Is this going to give back to the community there, or are they moving there just to reap the benefits of better taxes and they're not going to increase jobs? I want to look at the books, okay? I want to look at Willy Wonka's books. I want to see if he's a cancer to this society, this neighborhood, or is he helping them? Because right now it doesn't look so good.
And you'd think that Charlie's dad having a job at the toothpaste factory would be more solidified by the fact that there is a chocolate factory in the town. Especially when Willy Wonka does his contest and all these people are buying chocolate bars. Like, are they just throwing those... This isn't RuPaul's Drag Race. Are you just throwing the chocolate away at the end because it's not gold?
It was so hard not to think about RuPaul's Drag Race. And... for posterity, right now in RuPaul's Drag Race, they gave the queens a bar of chocolate, and if they get the golden ticket, they get to stay even if they get booted off. So there's been like a bunch of episodes of queens just going, it's just chocolate.
It's so Charlie Bucket of them. Like,
it's just chocolate.
It's just chocolate.
It's just chocolate.
Oh, Charlie. But you would think that, you know, with a town where the economy doesn't seem to be doing so well and people are buying up these chocolate bars, I would imagine that these people are actually eating said chocolate. And if they're buying it at the rate that they are claiming to be purchasing it at, which we know from later on in the book when a kid is like, I've been buying 20 bars a day. How come he got the ticket? Well, if you've also been eating 20 bars of chocolate a day and you're not keeping up good dental hygiene, chances are you're going to have a cavity, which means you probably should be brushing your teeth more, which would in turn mean more production for the toothpaste factory, right?
Yes.
So why did Charlie's dad lose his job?
I don't know. It's tough out there.
We need answers. I demand to see the work reports on Charlie's dad. Why did you fire him? Did he smell funny? Did he do something wrong? Like, come on.
See, I didn't think that you were here, though, with receipts on the dad. I thought that Grandpa Joe was the subject of your ire.
Oh, girl, don't even get me started on Grandpa Joe. I was going to wait till we start talking about the movie to talk about Grandpa Joe. But, I mean, if you want to get into it now, oh, my God. No. Okay, let's, oh, you just, like, opened Pandora's box. Oh. There's so much anger I have towards Grandpa Joe. I have a lot of anger. But you know what? We'll talk about it when we get to the movie because I have a point that coincides with the film.
Okay.
Yeah. Grandpa Joe. Speaking of Grandpa Joe, though, he is supposed to be 90 in the book. All these old people are 90 in the book. They still share a bed, while Charlie, his mother, and his father huddle on the floor. Nice. But yeah, he's 90 years old.
I feel like the book, to me, comes off like it's much older than the 1960s. Like, it feels like something... And it's funny because last year, for our Easter episode, we did Wizard of Oz, and there's, like, so many similarities between this and Wizard of Oz, but the book almost feels like it could have been written and published at the same time that the original Wizard of Oz books came out. It just feels like it's both timeless and also like older than it comes off. So when you've got these details of them sleeping all in the same bed and them huddled up on the floor, it feels like that's an older book than the 1960s.
Yeah, it definitely comes across a lot older. Like, especially, a toothpaste factory, my God. And when you talk about the slavery in Willy Wonka, I don't think that's something that would pass in the...
The slavery part is so strange because it really does come off as this tone-deaf thing that you would expect from an older book. It doesn't come off as something in the 1960s.
It's very white savior situation.
It's extremely white savior situation.
And it bothered... Like we've mentioned, Christina and I have read, Roald Dahl books. They're a childhood staple. A lot of kids read these books. Researching for this episode broke me in ways I'll never be able to recover. And then I went back and looked at scenes from Willy Wonka, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, that they bugged me when I read them, and I was like, well, that's a little weird. And then after looking at, like, in the book, Grandma Josephine, when Augustus Gloop wins first, the golden ticket, and there's, like, these photos of it and stuff, Grandma Josephine says, what a revolting woman. Yeah. And Grandma Georgina, and a repulsive boy, because they're supposedly so overweight, so fat that it looks like, I think he described it, that they looked like they were pumped up with, like, an air pump. Mm-hmm. What a revolting woman, really. Grandma Josephine, you're 90 years old and laying in a bed where you probably pee in it. Because I don't see you getting up out of that bed anytime soon. So who's the revolting woman now? Boom.
Well, and the problem with it, and it's in the book and it's also in the movie, but in the movie, because of a couple, like, lines that are slightly different, it's not as bad. It's definitely, like, very fat shaming and body shaming. And the shame of it is that there is, like, a lesson inside of it. It's just so not presented the correct way. Mm-hmm. And in the movie, I think that they point out that he's greedy. And he's greedy and he's eating everything, and that's not good. And it's like, if that were more of what's being taught... Or that, like, kind of like the Cookie Monsters. Like, you can have your cookies, you just got to eat carrots first. Yeah. Like, they've kind of, course-corrected that with Sesame Street over the years. And that's what it should be. It should be, like, more of that than just look at this disgusting monster on TV.
Look at these two fat people. Wow. Like, it's a problem that he has in a lot of his books, apparently, that I just never touched on. There's that, there's the misogyny, there's all of this stuff that goes into these books, and I don't want to talk about it because it makes me sad. But
the misogyny is such a bummer, and we talked about it just a tiniest bit before we started recording, but... Like, I when I was reading this, I remembered that Roald Dahl was problematic, but I couldn't remember why.
For everything, apparently. Everything.
I know, and so I just, like, typed in Roald Dahl problematic, and then Google's like, correct. And I'm just like, I start reading and it just gets worse and worse and worse. And the one that is just like such a freaking bummer is The Witches, because you read it one way with like the Angelica Houston movie, and then you understand like the misogyny of it and how like deeply problematic it is. And I just want to put that in a little box and drop it into the bottom of the ocean.
These are things, this is what this podcast does, is it brings up things that I wish I didn't know. And now, remember in the Jaws episode where I made you watch a shark pooping?
It was so funny.
And you can't unsee that. These are things I can't unlearn. And now that I know how problematic, I mean, ladies and gentlemen, there's some anti-Semitism involved. I don't want to be involved in this.
There's so much anti-Semitism. That's the big one.
Yeah, that's the overarching umbrella. And apparently he was just a dick.
Yeah.
Like, I read there are multiple biographies of, not of him, but of like people who've worked in publishing, who have worked with him and have just been like, what a dick. Like, no.
Well, and his treatment for the 1971 film was basically just an outline, and then he pointed back to the book.
Yeah.
That's not a script, sir.
And then he even visits the set of the movie, goes to the premiere, and then afterwards spends the rest of his life bashing it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what a dick.
What a dick.
We can say it now.
Like you.
We can say it now, but I probably wouldn't say it to his face. Apparently everyone said that he looked mean. Like, he looked real mean.
I'd say it. I don't give a fuck.
Oh, what? I'll stand behind you and go, yeah, what she said.
Will you catch me when he punches me in the face?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
I'll carry you away.
I wish the suspense lasted longer.
Young girl punched in face by Roald Dahl, news at 11. But
I thought he was dead.
Interesting. He's very problematic, and the fat shaming is problematic.
Yeah.
But what they do in the movie, I'm a small child. My apologies. We should all know this from the James Bond episode where I couldn't stop laughing at she sells seashells. I am a child. What we see in the movie versus the book, like in the book, they make it out that I think what they are trying to do, what he's trying to do, is create this like parts of the 7 deadly sins.
Right.
You know, so Augustus would be like gluttony.
Yeah.
But what's interesting between the book and the movie is that in the movie, when he's in that German restaurant, he's got great table manners. Like, the book describes him as just being like a trash can, like just scoop
like a
it
Dudley
in.
Dursley.
Yes, and he's not in the movie. He's very like dainty as how he eats. Like, even when he gets to the chocolate river, he doesn't dive in head first. He's taking those little baby scoops of chocolate and just going, delicious.
And he's pretty quiet too, whereas the other, especially the girls, are like quite outspoken, and he's not as, nasty verbally as the other ones are.
Yeah. So the movie does do a quick kind of course correct on some of these super problematic things, which I enjoyed. I will say, though, to go back to RuPaul's Drag Race and the It's Chocolate situation, I was surprised to read the description of the golden ticket in the book.
Yes, and I forgot too that there's more people that actually go to the factory.
Yeah, you can't just bring one person with you. Everyone except for Charlie brings 2 people.
Right.
Which, Charlie, you could have brought a second person, but no, that's fine. Whatever, that's totally fine, Charlie. But the golden ticket itself is supposedly like a very hard piece of like it's cut from gold. It's just slightly, I don't even think it's folded in the book. It's not described as being folded. It's like a thin sheet of actual gold. Which when you see the movie, it's just like gold paper. I think the kids in the movie got conned.
Well, it makes slightly more sense because even if they made like the chocolate slightly smaller, wouldn't that be heavier? I mean, if you're stocking the shelves and you feel a heavy Wonka bar, I'm leaving early that day because
wink, wink.
I'm opening this up.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm gonna buy this one. I'm buying it. This one, the heavy one.
I need a manager to do an employee discount right now.
Yes. Yes. It's the ticket that Charlie gets in both the film and the movie tell you a specific date to be at the factory. So here's my question. These chocolate bars are all over the world. Everybody is looking for these chocolate bars. What if Charlie didn't pay for that chocolate bar? What if no one ended up buying those chocolate bars because everyone still believed the news about that other person, and 2 days after the Wonka visit, someone buys that chocolate bar?
Well, I have a question to you.
Yeah.
How do we know that there weren't more Wonka bars?
I think they explain that in the movie.
But do they in the book?
No, they do not in the book. And
he might have sent out 20 of them, and then this is what he got back.
But how rude would it be if he did that? That's the other thing too. That I found so interesting between the book and the movie. The book specifically states it must be children. Yeah. And the movie does not.
I always thought that was interesting too. What if it wasn't a kid that found it?
Yeah. That was my whole thing. Like, I was like, what if, I'm not technically a child. I mean, I laughed when I said doo-doo earlier, but I am not age-wise a child. Would I still be allowed to go? And can I bring 2 guests?
Honestly, if I found it and I went up to him and he said, "You're not a child," I'm like, give me 10 minutes, okay? I assure you, I can convince you otherwise. I am 1,000% a kid. Yeah. The only reason why I act like an adult is because I begrudgingly have to do my taxes.
Yeah. Just be like, no, like, I'm a Toys R Us kid. Like, they don't grow up. Don't you know the song? Like, he'll be like, Toys R Us isn't a store anymore. And I'll be like, no! Like, it just doesn't, I mean, yeah, what would he have done? Like, because as an adult, I think that I would be smart enough to be like, I'm not touching that. I'm not. Did you not see that girl turn into a blueberry? I'm not touching anything in here. Then he would have to give me the chocolate factory.
I do like, though, that in sending it out to only kids and then how shitty all the kids are, it does affirm the fact that kids are shitty too. Like, when parents are shocked when you're like, I don't really like kids. Sometimes kids are pieces of shit. That's why this book proves that. Yeah.
It's like it's a real good lesson in you learn from those around you. Mm-hmm. Like, look at, I mean, all these kids are learning this mentality from their parents. Right. So the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree.
At least that is something that is included, that it's like a doggy. Like, dogs aren't bad. They're trained to be bad. Mm-hmm. So the kids are a product of their parents. Yeah. Yeah. So then if Charlie is good and he didn't bring his parents, what's that supposed to mean?
Is he actually being raised by his parents or by the 4 old people in that bed?
But they all seem like not so good either.
No, none of them are good. And I'm going to tell you why in a little bit. Why none of them are good. But so basically the book kind of follows the same path as the movie, mm-hmm. where kids are dropping like flies. They are just gone. With the biggest difference being Veruca and the golden goose in the movie is actually Veruca and the bad nut in mm-hmm. In the book. But it's the ending of the book. It's just like the Charlie situation in the book bothers me. Charlie is doing absolutely nothing. Yeah. He's our main character, and he is watching everyone else have fun. Yeah. I wouldn't say turning into a blueberry is fun, but, like, everyone else seems to be so full of life. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's because he's starved, like, but he just doesn't do anything. Yeah. And he's so pristine that, of course, you get to the end And Mr. Wonka's like, it's only you. Great. You've won my chocolate factory. Let's go get your family. And you're like, oh, that's it? Like, I was kind of like, because I had seen the movie so many times, I was like, here we go. Charlie's going to do something stupid. And he doesn't. He doesn't do anything.
No, and you know what, like, I got struck with? What this is the reverse Turning Red. Whereas, like, Turning Red encourages wonder and curiosity and going your own way, a la Fleetwood Mac. And, sometimes you don't listen to what your parents say. And that is both a reality, like, nobody on earth, it's like the Parks and Rec, like, I've never done anything wrong in my life, ever. That's impossible. That's not true. Yeah. Everyone at some point disobeys their parents, and that can be both a learning lesson for you and the parent. The parent sometimes has to know, like, they're going to do something and they're going to do it. So you have to support them in what they want to do. And with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, it just, every single time the kids want to do something, they get, like, maimed or possibly killed for it.
Well, that's so interesting that you brought that up, because that was a big argument with Turning Red. Parents watching this movie and being like, one of my favorite reviews was this one woman was like, it wants them to be individuals. Don't you? And Charlie is so, what this book is telling us, just like all kids' tales, all fairy tales there's a lesson to be learned, and apparently the lesson is don't do anything and you'll be rewarded for it.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think the movie corrects it a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of it. I mean, there is one part in the book that made me angry. Charlie finds a $1 bill. Full $1 bill, and he goes and he buys himself a chocolate bar, and I'm like, your family is starving. Buy them food. And he's just like, I'm going to eat this chocolate bar right now. And then he's like, I have change.
Yeah.
I shall buy myself a second chocolate bar. And it's like, your family is starving. Buy them food.
But that could have been something really interesting to have explored a little bit. And I would imagine that it probably would be explored these days if this was more of like an older kid, not quite young adult, but like almost a young adult book, where this is a kid who has nothing, and he finds this $1, and although he could give it to his family to help support them, he takes it. And he could later on say, like, Mr. Wonka, I don't deserve this. I took that $1 and I bought candy for myself, and I should have given that to my family. And he could have said something like, well, you also deserve candy, and you also deserve chocolate, and maybe, you did do that selfishly, but it's okay. It's okay for you to still do things for yourself, or, look at what's going to happen now. Like, because you took a risk, now you're going to get to move in here with them. Like, it could, I don't know. It could have, it could have gone somewhere with it.
There was a learning lesson completely missed.
Yeah. Good or bad.
Yeah.
Good or bad.
Because when you read that, Charlie finding money and feeding himself and not his family, it's very Veruca Salt of him.
It is. Yeah.
And yet Veruca is the one who is the bad nut, and Charlie is the stand-up gentleman.
Well, she's a lady, Nikki.
And that's the thing. That was it. Once I started reading more about Dahl's background and his whole problem, it was like, that explains why Charlie didn't face any consequences for going to, like, when he runs into the house and he's like, I found the last golden ticket. I wanted his mom to be like, how? Where'd you get the money? What do you mean you found a golden ticket? And I wanted him to tell his mom, I found money and I bought myself candy with it, and I left the change at the chocolate shop because I ran home with the golden ticket. That's what I want. I wanted him to fess up to this, and I wanted his mom to be like, you bought candy when we could have had food.
I just imagine it, and she's like, I'm making boot stew right now, you fucking asshole.
We are having hot water for dinner, and You bought chocolate. Oh, everyone, look, Charlie's got a golden ticket. But we're all going to die in this poorhouse because Charlie ate chocolate. Ooh.
I found a dried green bean in the closet and ate that for lunch, Charlie.
I'm licking the salt from my hands for flavor.
Yeah. And you had a goddamn chocolate bar for lunch.
It's like there was a learning point there. And because, like you said, because Charlie is a guy and Veruca is a girl, there's this weird, they're both selfish. And
it's funny because like there's the difference between one of them has more money and one of them is also a female character.
Yeah.
And I also see a problem with Violet because Violet's not necessarily like bad.
No.
She's rude and she's obnoxious, but she's not bad.
No,
I mean,
not.
I don't particularly like people who chew gum loudly either, but I'm not about to maim them.
Yeah. I'm not going to have them squeezed. Jesus.
Just like walking down the street. Carlos, please squeeze that man.
Sir, you're coming with me. He plays his little pipe and a bunch of people come out and grab. Willy Wonka's like a Batman villain. My God.
He really is. The Willy Wonka is a strange character. Yeah. And I don't know. I don't know how he plays into all of Roald Dahl's weird, problematic stuff either. It's questionable.
It is. It is very questionable. I also want to say, after Charlie wins, after Charlie, who didn't deserve to win because he took money that didn't belong to him that was on the street and bought himself chocolate when he should have been saving his family's lives, when he wins and they go up into the elevator, the Wonka-vator, and Willy Wonka's just like, let's go visit your family. And crashes through the roof of the house like, hey-oh, what's good? The thing that had me rolling was the fact that this Wonka-vator is so big, it can fit a full-size bed with 3 now, 90-year-old people in it, plus his parents, plus him, Willie, and Grandpa Joe. They're all flying around in the world's largest elevator.
Yeah.
What is happening? And also I was like, don't bring that mattress into your new home. The old people pee on that bed. Like, of all things, leave it.
I feel like the mattress from the Bucket family house is like this. It's up there with like the Maltese Falcon. It's just this. It's a treasured MacGuffin to win all MacGuffins.
Oh my God! Could you imagine if the Maltese Falcon was about the mattress?
Imagine shining a black light on that thing.
No, I'm good. Thank you. I'm good. Ew. There is a sequel. Charlie and
the Great Glass Elevator.
Yeah. It is great. I mean, it fit a whole bed. Honestly, I don't know if I'm gonna read it.
I did read it when I was a kid, and I don't remember it. I remember not rereading it, and when I was a kid, like, I usually reread the majority of books that I had, so the fact that I didn't reread it is like a sign.
Yeah, that's telling.
Alone. Yeah.
Listen, I'm not colorblind. I can see red flags. And that seems like a big one. So I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it. I guess that leads us right up into, I mean, this book was short, so I'm not surprised we're about to start talking about the movie.
Yeah, and there actually is, like, it's another one of those where most of what's in the book does somehow make its way on screen. Like, there's stuff that the 2005 film picked up, but I honestly see those as kind of like scraps. It's like whatever was missing, like the whole thing about him going to India. Like, there's some things that were added in later, like him paying all of the Oompa Loompas in cocoa beans. Like, that's in the book, but it's not in the 1971 movie, and it made its way to the 2005 one. But for the most part, everything in the book is still in the 1971 movie. You know what I mean? Like, it's all there. It's just like slightly tweaked.
Oh yeah, let's pay Oompa Loompas in a currency that's not real. Fun.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think Willy Wonka needs some, personal reflection before he starts teaching little kids lessons.
Yeah. Oh, really? You're gonna tell Charlie how to run a chocolate factory? Cool. That's cool. No, Charlie, are you gonna really live? You know what? All things aside, I will say this: the idea of, because at the end of the book, now that we're talking about the movie, I can compare the two. At the end of the book, Willy Wonka says that he will give Charlie the chocolate factory completely when he's old enough. Mm-hmm. They don't really say like an age. They're just like, when you're older, you can have the chocolate factory forever. And I imagine what he means is like, when I kick the bucket,
when he kicks the Charlie bucket.
When he dies, the chocolate factory goes to Charlie, and in the meantime, he's going to teach him everything that he knows about chocolate.
He's going to groom him.
Yeah. Oh, gross. And that makes, that makes sense. Your family's going to move into the chocolate factory. I'm going to train you, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the movie, he's like, it's yours. Bye.
Bye.
This poor 10-year-old child has to drop out of school and go to work full-time at a chocolate factory. But it also gives me Dread Pirate Roberts. Like, he's just like, I can't do it forever. So I'm going to hand it down to you. And I feel like if there was a continuation, it would be Charlie.
Yeah.
Charlie's chocolate factory, and he has to pick the new Charlie buckets to take over for him.
No, but again, there could be something kind of cool where it's like Charlie's chocolate factory, and he remembers being poor and staring at the chocolate factory. So now he does, community reach out with the Oompa Loompas and the chocolate, and he does community events.
I'd be here for that.
I'm being serious, guys. I would be very interested to see how he increases the economy of his community.
Yeah, well, his dad needs a job. Do you think he put his dad to work?
Job.
Like, Dad, you can help pour the cocoa beans into the water fountain.
I want to make sure that the Oompa Loompas have health care and really strong 401ks.
Yeah, they should have a savings plan. Mm-hmm. Do you think
they get breaks?
Do you think they get an annuity if they decide they want to retire from the chocolate factory?
Yes.
Where do you live after? Like, you can't just leave the chocolate factory. You have to
I want
die.
them to have profit sharing.
No, but
okay?
Think about it. If we are talking about the Oompa Loompas, especially how they were paid in the books with only cocoa beans, they can't just like retire and move. They have to live their entire lives in that chocolate factory, because they can't just go out to the grocery store in Charlie's neighborhood and be like, hi, I'll give you 10 cocoa beans for 1 loaf of bread. That guy's going to be like, what? Money, cash only. And they'll be like, cocoa.
The Oompa Loompas also get hurt in the book.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like that the Oompa Loompas get hurt.
I like imagining that they are superheroes almost, They are indestructible.
Yeah.
That's why they're orange.
I pictured the Oompa Loompas, and the way that they are in the 71 movie, I kind of picture them like in fairy tales, like the Fae, like how they're kind of like mischievous a little bit, but ultimately they're good. Like they're playful. Yeah. That's how they are.
Or like I want them to live forever.
Nothing bad ever happens to them.
No, nothing bad ever happens. They come from a mythical land where everything's good and great, and cocoa makes them live longer. Yeah. Yeah. So, I don't know, some Infinity Stone, Philosopher's Stone situation going on with them, and I'm here for it.
Now, with the 1971 movie, when did you watch it? Was it something that you always watched when you were a kid?
Always watched it as a kid. I'm sorry. Yeah. If there was a rain day in school and that cart came rolling into your classroom, it was either Bill Nye the Science Guy or Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
There really was no other option, I guess, when we were kids. It was like, we got two things, educational or chocolate.
It's strange to think that this movie was a cult movie, that not many people were talking about it through the 70s and 80s, and it wasn't until like it became cult status and then hit a VHS re-release that it got really big.
Well, and I can see that, because when you have to think about the time, like when it was the 80s and it came out for the re-release, there was a period of time in film where they weren't making films for kids unless they were animated. So there wasn't a lot of, films with adults, especially celebrities, doing kids films, because kids films were a novelty act. Like, no one, unless you were doing animated film from Walt Disney, there was no point to do it.
Which is just so funny, because you think about the movies in the 60s and 70s, and when they were still trying to hold on to that, like, Technicolor, like when all those, like, Frank Sinatra movies came out that are kind of garbage, they're basically Looney Tunes, just horny. Yeah.
That's where, like, Pepe Le Pew comes from. Like, legit.
And to think that that's, like, somehow better than this film that actually has a point to it and is really artistic is kind of silly.
Well, that's a problem that we have with film today, too, is that people don't see kids' films as anything except a film for a child. We're so concerned with what the people who make money are going to spend their money on. But what film and the film industry has forgotten is that we are now the adults. I hate to say this, because now we can't go to Willy Wonka's factory, Christina, but we are technically adults. And we use our adult money on stupid things. And I will spend more of my adult money watching cartoons in a theater than I will seeing, like, I didn't see Belfast, but Turning Red, oh yeah, I've already watched it 2 times. And I know all the words to the songs, because I am an adult, and that's how I choose to spend my time. Although I hear Belfast is really good and I should check it out.
I don't know about you, Nikki, because, like, from where I'm sitting in my adult chair, I can see my cat ears from our Cats episode and my Mr. Poopy Butthole action figure from Rick and Morty. So I'm an adult, okay?
Yeah, you're a full-blown adult. I mean, I have the entire Mighty Ducks DVD box set, all 3 films. I'm super adult. These are things I have chosen to spend my money on. And that's the problem, is that film industries are so, like, take the Oscars. The big thing that bothered me about the Oscars this year is when you have 3 women on stage who have portrayed live action versions of animated characters basically on that stage in front of all of Hollywood, and then on national television basically said that animation is for children.
Yeah.
It's a kid's thing. It's not. It's not. Animation and these kids' films in particular are ways to get, really hard topics across. Things that people don't want to talk about. Like with Turning Red. No one's ever going to talk about female, puberty situations. And now you've got a full movie about it, and it's beautiful and it's funny. You have Willy Wonka, and we're touching on these subjects of classism.
Yeah.
You're not going to find that as nuanced in this film, like in an adult film. Like, I would even compare, like, look at, like, The Pursuit of Happiness and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm always going to want to watch Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, because at least there are songs.
But there's also the sadness to think that you cannot watch a children's movie because there is something so beautiful about embracing your inner child. And the minute that I am no longer in touch with my inner child, I am not going to be Christina anymore. Like, I will no longer be, if anybody likes me even a little bit, the minute I lose, like, the inner childhood, it's gone. Because I think that there's something very serious to what Willy Wonka says in this movie about only a child can do it, and only a child can think a certain way. And more to it is the idea of hope. And I think hope is something that is strong in the book. It's like one of the good things I find in the book that's also in the movie, that there's an innocent hope that kids have that has not been marred by the cynicism of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that is being ignorant. Like, you simply don't realize how fucked up the world is. Like, and that's really sad to know that it's just ignorance. They don't know. And then there is a side, though, that it's like, well, maybe, maybe Charlie Bucket, who eats cabbage soup, even though he can't afford to buy 1,000 chocolate bars, just maybe if he buys one more, there's going to be a golden ticket in there. And there was. And that, like, childish hope that his parents don't have it, and Grandpa Joe's the only one that has just a little bit of hope for it. And it's because he has that inner childhood inside of him. He's got, even though he's 90 something, like, there's still the hope inside of him. And that's, like, the beautiful part of it. Yeah. And if an adult can't sit down and watch this movie and can't relate to it, that's really sad.
It is very sad. Like, if Willy Wonka opens that door and we get the pan view of the chocolate room with the waterfall and these bright, 60s, 70s psychedelic colors, if you look at that and you don't get just a tinge of, like, a chill, like, you are... I don't want to talk to you. Like, that's the thing. It's this childlike wonder. There are so many people I know who have lost that. And it is so sad. It is so sad to be so serious. Mm-hmm. Like, it just... Oh, my God. I want to travel the world and make people kids again. I want to be the Peter Pan.
I know, exactly.
You have to suspend disbelief. And I think that there are a lot of people who just can't. And I think that's why. Yeah. Ugh.
See, and with the kids, with Charlie just, being happy to be there, and then the kids, it turns it away from just that one's fat, that's a mouthy girl, and that one did exactly what Charlie did. Instead, it turns them into, have already adopted the worst of their parents, and their parents are adults, and adults suck. So they're already, like, breaching into the shitty part of being an adult. So it's not like they're just being playful kids or something. Like, they're unfortunately taking the worst of their parents.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I was just going to say something and I can't remember what it was. It's something, But, okay, we talked about the worst of their parents. Sorry for that awkward pause, everybody. I was thinking about something while you were talking about taking on the worst of their parents. I think it's really, it is there. It is definitely there. In the books, 100%. But in the movie, it feels a little, and I think it's because of the Augustus Gloop situation.
Yeah.
We never see Mrs. Gloop referred to or looked at in the way that she is in the book. Mm-hmm. So I wonder how much of that is because we never see her eat in this movie. Mm-hmm. She's not eating anything, really. Well, I guess
she's not eating at the German place?
No, I don't think she's eating at the German place because the cameras are on Augustus the whole time. Okay. He's got that big plate of knotwurst.
It looks so good, too.
It did look really good. And apparently...
I want to eat German food now.
Apparently that's where they used to go for lunch when they were filming. That's why they were able to film there. And I was like,
amazing.
I know. I was like, I would eat there every day. Oh, no. I'm the Augustus Gloop.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Augusta, save some for later.
Save some room for later. It sounds like one of the pigs from Shrek.
Yeah.
I guess maybe it's time for me to talk about Grandpa Joe.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Take a sip of your tea. Relax. This is all on me. I hate Grandpa Joe. I despise this man so much because, I mean, after reading the book, it kind of makes sense as to why Charlie would bring Grandpa Joe to the chocolate factory. Grandpa Joe in the book tells Charlie all these stories about Willy Wonka and his chocolate factory and all of this, shenanigans that goes on. But reminder, Grandpa Joe in the book is 90 years old. When Charlie comes in with that golden ticket, Grandpa Joe jumps out of bed, all 90 years of him, skin and bones, jumps out of that bed. And when Charlie's parents are talking to each other, and they're like, well, who are you going to bring? Grandpa Joe immediately jumps up and goes, I'll take him, I'll look after him, I will take him, I will do it. We are going to the chocolate factory. And it's very awkward, because you're like, what? You're 90 and you've been in bed for how long? Like your whole life? Like, what do you mean you're going to take him to the chocolate factory and not his hardworking father who lost a job, who could have used this as an opportunity to talk to Mr. Wonka about the possibility of working in his factory, because somebody needs to drive those trucks of the forever chocolate that these kids are going to be having for the rest of their lives, right? Why couldn't it be Charlie's dad? Maybe give him an opportunity to slip his resume onto a desk. Oh, no, you want to bring Grandpa Joe, the old man who doesn't do anything? Cool. Great.
Why not bring Grandpa Joe and your dad?
Because Charlie's too dumb to realize he can bring two people.
Maybe he left that idea with the change at the counter.
Oh my God, that change. All the food he could have bought for his family, whatever. And then in the movie, once again, Grandpa Joe spends all day in bed. Grandpa Joe in the movie is not 90. He's probably, what would you say, like 60s? Late 60s.
Yeah. 60s.
So he's
maybe early 70s.
Yeah, like he could still get around. He could still walk, he could still work, but he doesn't. Charlie's mom is a single mom, works all day, all night, comes home, and makes cabbage soup for the four lazy bones laying in that bed all day long. Then she's still doing laundry and cleaning up for her own family. This woman does not rest. Ever. Ever. Charlie comes home with that golden ticket, and the first thing he does is ask his Grandpa Joe to go with him to the chocolate factory. Your mom is slaving away so that you can survive in this world. And what's the first thing you're going to do? Bring your grandpa who doesn't do anything? Here's the deal.
Doesn't do anything.
Here's the deal. Either Charlie is the worst child, and should have never won that chocolate factory, because he doesn't care about his parents. He only cares about his Grandpa Joe. Charlie is either the worst child in that book, or two, Grandpa Joe has been lying about his disability this entire time and could have easily gone anywhere he wanted to, but it was only when an opportunity to become rich and meet a famous person presented itself to him that he suddenly had the strength, and yes, if you heard me correctly, I did use air quotes, the strength to get out of bed to go to the factory, because once they were in that factory, was Grandpa Joe limping around on that cane like he was when he was dancing around the house? I don't think so. Did Grandpa Joe steal fizzy lifting drink? Yes, he did. If Charlie had brought either one of his parents, his father or his mother, probably his mom, because the movie only had his mom, if he had brought his mom would have been like, we're not going in that room. Don't touch anything.
Now, I have a really good news for you.
Yes.
I need you to write this down, okay? It's 1-800-269-0271. It's the Fraud Prevention Reporting for the Social Security Disability Department. I think we got a case on our hands.
We do.
And I think
we
that
do.
the criminal, his name is Joseph Bucket.
Like, I can't eat. It hurts me so much. Like, seriously, everyone, go watch the movie. He's all like acting all like, oh, like Charlie McCain. He says that to him, Charlie McCain.
I think you're calling him Charlie McCain. Like, he's somehow related to McCain. But then I realized he said my cane.
Yeah, Charlie, my cane. And Charlie hands him the cane. And then they go to Wonka's factory. Where's the cane when y'all are drinking that fizzy lifting drink? Where's the cane at the end when you, Grandpa Joe, tell Charlie, that's okay, Charlie, if Slugworth wants an everlasting gobstopper. He's gonna get an everlasting gobstopper. Grandpa Joe was not there for Charlie, period. He was there for a quick buck, and I will fight anybody on this. Fight me. Bring it on, Grandpa Joe. I know that you can fight because you've been lying this whole time.
See, though, I think that, and it's done better, probably, and I hate to say this, but it's probably done better in the 2005 movie, that I think it's more of symbolism that these people have no hope. And that without hope, it's hard to do anything. So with the hope of the golden ticket, it does spark something alive inside of Grandpa Joe. And we're not looking at each other right now, but I feel you staring at me as I'm saying this. So I understand that you disagree.
No, you want to know what I was going to say? Hope is not an excuse to not help feed your family. You know what I hope for? I hope Grandpa Joe gets out of bed and gets a job to help support the people in this house. There are 3 people in that bed. One of them, well, actually, the other 3 in that bed, I can fully believe are too decrepit to do anything. And especially when you read about the other actor playing the other grandpa, breaks my heart. He was in World War II. He's partially almost fully blind during the filming of this movie. And that whole thing about his shoes broke my heart in half. Yeah. But Grandpa Joe... Grandpa Joe is physically able. He can do things. He jumps. He dances. He drinks fizzy lifting drink. And by drink, I mean steals it. I am not making up. I was going to say, I'm so sorry for that outburst about Grandpa Joe. No, I'm not sorry. Grandpa Joe should apologize to all of us for swindling us. We have been bamboozled. We have been hoodwinked. All by Grandpa Joe.
And you gotta feel bad for Charlie's mom, too, because she not only took in her parents, but then she took in her husband's parents, and then her husband either died or left.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. And you should feel bad for her because Charlie, who you sang a whole musical number to, which, of course, I skipped because, God, what a boring song. You sing this.
It's, I used to really hate it, the Cheer Up Charlie song when I was a kid. I really hated it. I don't hate it now, and I watched it, this time around because I have skipped it. I've definitely skipped it in years before, and I thought, no, I should watch. It doesn't offend me. It's just, it brings down the movie.
It should appear sooner in the film.
Yeah.
At this point in the film, we are already at a low point with Charlie. We don't need to go any lower.
It's also so long before Willy Wonka shows up.
He doesn't show up until 42 minutes into the film.
Yeah. And it's very, very, very similar. The reveal of the chocolate factory is very similar to the exact shot in Wizard of Oz when you see it go from sepia, black and white, to Oz. It's eerily similar. It's very cool. But that happens at 20, 25 minutes in Wizard of Oz, but this doesn't, you don't get to Willy Wonka for 45 minutes, and then it's another 10 minutes before you're even in the chocolate factory. It's crazy how long it takes.
Yeah. I want a full wall. When I buy a house, I want a full wall that is that document that they have to sign.
I know. I thought the same thing. I thought that would be so cute. And I work in the legal field, so it would be so cute even just behind me, a big contract. And then you get closer and you realize it's the Willy Wonka contract.
I would love it. I want that for you. I am manifesting that for you.
It's so cute.
It was a really neat, and I want you to have the whole velvet curtain reveal part to it too. The chocolate factory. Now that I'm done with Grandpa Joe and how Charlie should have brought his mom, the chocolate factory, I, as an adult, still want to go.
Same.
I mean, I will say we're still technically in the COVID times, and it was very awkward seeing things just hanging around and out in the open. Please don't eat that. You don't know how long it's been sitting there. I don't care. I would touch everything.
The part that gets me is because I love that song. That song is probably one of my favorite songs. When he is singing and he's dancing and then he kicks the little balls and they float up and then they go back down. If I were eating something and I looked over like, bro, you just kick this shit?
Yeah.
I'm fucking eating it. How many things in here did you kick?
Yeah, he kicked it all. He kicked all of it.
Please stop kicking my food.
Hi, I know it's all free for us, but, like, can you, like, not? Like, I know you own it, but, like, stop.
Imagine you come over to my house and I make you, like, a tea and you're eating, like, a fucking cucumber sandwich and then you see me just, like, kick the fuck out of a macaron. Like, bro, did you kick this too? Like, what? Please stop kicking the food you're giving me.
Like, what is it, like, Thanksgiving? It's just, like, punching a turkey.
You punt the turkey across the house.
Yeah. Come with me, kick. No. What are you doing?
It's a world of imagination, Nikki.
Stuffing is flying everywhere.
Was there anything specific that you always wanted to eat in that room? Like, what if, knowing the room, you go in there, what's the very first thing you go after?
Oh my God, this is so hard.
I know mine.
I would probably go... Here's the deal. As a young child, I always wanted the gummy bears. Big giant gummy bears. As an adult, I will say, while watching this scene, as soon as the scene started, I went, oh my God. And immediately started Googling tulip teacup set.
Same, me. That's my favorite one. The tulip teacup set is my favorite. And then when he eats it, oh, it sounds so good. It sounds like one of those wafer cookies.
Yeah. I will pay an undisclosed amount of money to have an actual teacup that looks like that. It doesn't have to be wax. I don't have to chew on it. I just want the teacup.
If I were on death row, that is what I would ask for my final meal. Partially because I really want it, and partially because I know it's going to take them a really long time to put it together. It's going to buy me a couple months.
Hi, you know that scene in Willy Wonka? Ma'am, you murdered a man. No. Are you sure? Like, it's my, like, one last request.
You asked me. That's my answer, buddy.
Come on. If you can't provide it, I guess we're just going to have to wait.
I'd like to speak to your manager.
The manager of the jail?
No, I want to say something about Willy Wonka. He is played by Gene Wilder. Mm-hmm. Gene Wilder has big dick energy.
Yeah.
And he's so cute, and I love him, and he's perfect. He's the perfect Willy Wonka. You don't need another one. Yeah. And there's just nothing I don't like about him, and I think that there's something about him that feels so vulnerable, and yet there's something about him that's extremely dark and sinister, and there's like little bits that make me laugh so hard with him, like when Veruca runs up and she guesses at what he's got in his hand, and he's like, wrong! Like, he's just... He, like, says it to this little kid's face, and it doesn't really matter that it's a little kid. He's kind of, like, a little bit of a piece of shit, and I love it. It's just, and then he's got this, like, he's very sexy, too. It's something that you don't pick up on as a kid, but watching it as an adult, I'm like, huh, yeah. Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah, no, I was like, you are the perfect man. Hi. Hi, what are you doing, Mr. Wonka? What I loved about the way Gene Wilder interacts with the children is very much reminiscent to me of how Sir Michael Caine interacts with the Muppets in A Muppet Christmas Carol.
Exactly. And you know what it is? He doesn't talk down to them.
Yes.
He doesn't talk to them like they're Muppets. He doesn't talk to them like they're kids. He just talks.
He treats them as if they are just another actor on set with him. And it really comes across, especially when he's yelling at the kids, because, you know, in the one hand, you want him to be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. But on the other hand, I'm like, if I were talking to an adult and an adult did that, I would say the same thing. And it's perfect. It's so realistic. And you get what's so great about Gene Wilder is he gives you the idea that he is both the authoritarian adult, but he is the child. He is Peter Pan grown up. And you see it in his eyes, especially at the end when they're in the Wonkavator. And he's telling Charlie the whole thing about, like, what happened to the man who got everything he wanted. He lived happily ever after. And you look into his eyes and you just, oh my God, I'm getting goosebumps. Like, you just, like, believe he is Willy Wonka. He's not Gene Wilder. He's Willy Wonka. And I'm pretty sure he's single.
I got goosebumps when you said it, but it's like the whole ending sequence is so sweet and magical and happy. And it really does go into it, like his eyes. Like his eyes are just so, these like puppy dog, sincere, genuine eyes. And when he says that, it's the same thing like when he's angry. It hurts. Yeah. It feels like a dad is angry at you. Like it's a genuine emotion that he has. Yeah. So then when he's happy and he looks at him and he hugs him, it's just so sweet.
Oh my God, when he says you did it and he picks up Charlie and swings him around, I'm like, wow, Willy Wonka would be like a really good dad.
When he says my boy.
Yeah. Oh my God, the feelings. And when you add into the fact that they omitted Charlie's dad from the film, you know, Wonka is the stand-in. You know,
I wonder if that's what makes like Gene Wilder attractive too, because like women, even if you don't want kids, there's something inside of you that's like he would be a good dad.
Yeah.
It's like he would be a good dad.
He would be a good dad.
Look at what he's doing for Charlie.
Yeah. Mr. Wonka would be the greatest dad. He's probably single, Christina, so putting that out there.
Well, we're not.
Listen, it's always okay to have a second option.
He's also dead.
Shut up! I live in a world of pure imagination. Suspend reality for a minute, Christina. My God.
There's one well-known fact about Gene Wilder that is, like, I'm sure it came off as really strange when he first said it, but it makes total sense that whole bit about him pretending like he has a limp and then falling and then jumping up when he has his first introduction, he like demanded it because he wanted people to constantly be on their toes, and you never know if Willy Wonka is like lying or being truthful, and that there's both like a darkness and a playfulness to him. It's just like it sets up a lot about his character in one sequence, and I never like fully got it, I think, as a kid, like how important that part is.
Yeah.
But now watching it, I can really appreciate it, and it's cool and it's unexpected, and it keeps that on your toes momentum through the rest of his performance.
It really does. And it's really fun. Oh God, I could just watch him do the zany Wonka things all day, because you really start to question him when he's on the boat. Yeah. And he loads everyone on the boat like it's a small world at Disney, and he's so cheerful, and then immediately like a switch went off and he's doing the whole, is it raining, is it pouring?
That part
it's my favorite. That is probably one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie. I've always loved that part.
It's always scared me. It scared me when I was a kid, and it scares me now. I'm watching it like, what the hell? And like when it's the little centipede or when it's like the centipede or whatever on the guy's like face.
Yeah, that's gross. That's very James Bondy.
It is. I don't like it.
But I maybe that's, what does that say about me? I've always loved that part, and it's just the build. The slow build of insanity in that part is done so well. And then Veruca's dad is like, stop this right now. And he goes, you're right. Let's stop.
Okay.
Okay. It is brilliant. And I don't think there's, like, I went through the trivia and I saw some of the other actors that they were thinking of for Willy Wonka, and like the actors who auditioned for the role. I don't think any of them could have done this.
Yeah, there was only one that I thought, like, if Gene Wilder was sick and they needed somebody else, like, he could have been interesting, but he still wouldn't have been Gene Wilder. That's Joel Grey. Like, Joel Grey has a very similar type of vibe. Like, there's a lot of overlapping qualities to Joel Grey. And, like, you think about him as the MC, and the MC is, well, in the MC in Cabaret. The MC is very playful yet kind of sadistic. He's dark, but there's still like a quality to him and a childishness that Gene Wilder has that Joel Grey does not have.
But I think his childishness comes off a little bit creepier.
It does.
It gives you a creepier vibe, where I think Gene's childlike qualities are more warm. Mm-hmm. And it's very, oh my God, I can't believe I just lost his name. Genie from Aladdin. Robin Williams.
Robin Williams?
It's very Robin Williams-y in the way that Gene Wilder can be a child.
This might just be me because I'm coming off of it, but I just watched all of Taxi, and Andy Kaufman is in it, and there's a lot of similarities, I thought, between Andy Kaufman and Gene Wilder. Like, even their hair and their eyes, they both have these, like, big puppy dog blue eyes, you know? And there's, like, some similarities between the two of them, and both of them have this, like, childishness, but Gene Wilder's is just, like, pristine. Like, whatever Andy Kaufman has or did that Gene Wilder also has, Gene Wilder does it better by a lot.
Yeah. Like, Gene Wilder.
I love Andy Kaufman, too, so it's, like, no shame.
I mean, like, if Andy Kaufman didn't go crazy.
There's that.
I think that's the main thing. I think Gene Wilder has the difference is okay. It feels like they're both the Incredible Hulk, and one of them can control the power, and the other one can't.
Yeah, you know that's a good way to... Yeah, it's like a valve that Gene Wilder controls better.
Yeah, like Gene knows when he... It's like when you're out drinking, and you know when you've hit your limit, and you're like, I'm done for the night, but then the other person you're with is like, oh, just go, still one more. And it's like, no, I think that is the difference, is I think Andy Kaufman... you know, as a comedian, tried to keep going higher and higher when there's definitely a shut-off point at some point for comedians. You know, you need to just, like, you're good. And that's what Gene is so good at, is he knows that balance, the fine line between too much and enough.
You know, have you watched The Little Prince?
Yes.
I really love The Little Prince, and Gene Wilder in that is so good. And what I thought was really cool is that there's some, like, overlapping themes in The Little Prince to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, but his role in The Little Prince is so small. It's only like one segment of that film that's, I don't know how long it is, but I'm gonna guess probably like 15 minutes. But it's interesting that he has such a small role in that movie. And he's big. Like, that's the main thing I think about that movie, even though it's just a small section of it. And then this, to me, he is this movie, and yet he's only in half of it.
Yeah. Like,
that is so much talent to be able to be subtly big, because he's not big. He's not, like, chewing scenery. Mm-hmm. He's not overacting. He's not stepping on other people's toes. A lot of what he does, and he does really well, is very kind of subtle in nature. And when I was rewatching the 2005 one, like, so much of it is just like overtly dark and overtly saying certain things and putting it in the audience's face. Whereas this one, I'm still left questioning sometimes what Willy Wonka was thinking. And that makes it a lot more fun as an audience member. Yeah.
It's... The 2005 one, I still believe does not exist, because it is too much. It is way too much. Johnny Depp pulls focus. That's what Gene Wilder was so good about, is that we spent so much time talking about the kids. Yeah. Like Charlie and Grandpa Joe, like all these side characters. The movie's called Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and he did a good job of letting the kids shine in every scene. Even in those parts where he's being so sarcastic and he's just like, no, don't, stop.
I love that part.
It's so good. He's never standing in the way or stepping on anyone's toes. And it's really nice to see that. Like, you don't get that a lot with ensemble pieces. There's always one person who takes the lead.
He might not step on toes, but he does harshly grab the faces of children and then yells nonsense at them. Yeah. And I love that. I wish I could do that on a daily basis.
Do that more.
Like that time when I was at Disney World and I saw a little kid lick the rope, like in the queue line.
Ew.
I wish I could go up to that kid and just grab his face really hard. We are the makers of dreams. And then that's how I got kicked out of Disney. Little kids should be taught a lesson. I'm sorry.
So you agree kids should go to Wonka's factory?
I do.
This is like,
nobody goes in, nobody goes out.
This is like you remember when Maury Povich used to do those Scared Straight episodes and the kids would have to go to boot camp? He should do it, but the kids have to go to Willy Wonka's factory.
The Willy Wonka boot camp for kids.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen.
I am completely down with it. Can I say something that's weird?
Duh. Of course you can.
You're asking permission now.
Yeah. Hi, you do realize this is like, we're almost coming up, like, in a couple months we'll be in our 3rd year of doing this, so why ask? I'm not Willy Wonka, I'm not gonna yell at you, like, do it.
No, you know the part when they're licking the wallpaper?
Ugh, yeah.
There's a section where you see Grandpa Joe licking the wallpaper.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it.
You know what I'm talking about. Like, you see it, and I don't like it. I don't like thinking about it. It makes me feel gross. I never need to see that again.
No, that is one thing that you can't unsee once you see it, and it makes me feel disgusting. What I like is Mike TV's mom is licking her finger and rubbing the wallpaper, and then licking her finger again. I'm like,
that would be me. That would be me. I am a little bit of a germaphobe. That would be me.
I would not pull a Grandpa Joe. It was so gross. That's why he shouldn't have gone. He shouldn't have gone because he's nasty. I want to ask about this theory. There's a theory about Slugworth on the interwebs. And I immediately believed it. Not because I'm easily tricked and bamboozled, but because it makes so much sense. He shows up. So the theory basically is Wonka handpicked the kids he wanted in his factory. So he knew who he wanted to torture. And he handpicked them. And the reason behind this theory is that wherever the winner was, Slugworth immediately was.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this theory about it?
That theory also plays into another theory that people sometimes put together, which is that the transportation at the factory gets smaller. So it goes from the bigger boat to the smaller little, like, thing that goes through the wall.
Oh,
like, it's really weird.
The washer one?
So, yeah. I like that part. And it's just that how did Wonka know that he was going to need less seats unless he somehow knew that he was going to make them drop like flies. So I do think that there is something to it. And it also plays into what you asked about earlier, which is like, how did he know that they would even find all of the tickets at once? So there's definitely something to it. And I like it, though, that we will never know how much Wonka was planning or not planning because he doesn't want you to know.
Yeah. And that goes back to the whole flip at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like,
it's possible. All of this is definitely possible.
I think Wonka, you know what? If that's the case, Wonka is a dick too, because he would have seen very poor Charlie Bucket walking by that factory every day and then been like, you know what would be a great plan? If I got 5 kids in here, killed 4 and kept 1, we're going to run my factory.
Killed 4 of them.
This is going to turn into a Soil and Green situation at the factory, isn't it? Like, Willy Wonka's people.
I like that we live in a society where when I was a kid, I didn't even question what happened to the other kids. I wasn't bothered by it. Like, yeah, they got what they got.
Yeah. Like, in the book, they do say that the kids, like, they're flying over them in the Wonkavator, and they're like, oh, look, Mike TV got tall because they stretched him. Cool, I'm glad they all lived, and they all got their lifetime supplies of chocolate. Do you really think, this is where Wonka is a little bit of a dick. Could you imagine going through Wonka's magical funhouse, and you are either juiced or stretched or pulled out of the trash or you had been sucked through a tube. And then to top it off, you know, you're going to have PTSD from that experience alone, but to top it off, you have a lifetime supply of Wonka chocolate.
I love it. I think it's really dark. I think it's up there with like Twilight Zone. You have all the time in the world to read now, but you've got no glasses.
Yeah.
It's the monkey's paw. It's, yeah, we got our son back, but he is a walking corpse and he's dismembered. Like that. I like the dark twist of it. And I like that the movie, and this is where I think this movie's better than the remake. It's like it's bright. Yeah. It's cheerful. It's all colorful. It's kind of campy. It looks like a Mary Blair drawing. It's just like, it doesn't look dark. It doesn't look like it is as dark as like a grim fairy tale book, yet it's probably even more dark than some of the versions of Cinderella that we read. You know what I mean? Like it's actually darker than that, and I like it. Yeah. And I like that there are consequences to acting like a piece of shit.
The not knowing what happens to the kids.
Yeah.
Was something like, you said that you were scared of the boat. I was always bothered by not knowing where those kids were and what they did. Like, did they get her juiced? And once she was juiced, like, what happened? Like, what does that even mean to be juiced?
I know, that's what I like. What does it mean to be juiced?
Like, what do you mean you're gonna juice her? My God. Like, it is scary. And then, you know, the remake that shall not be named shows the kids afterwards, kind of like in the book, but it's kind of like, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't care. I don't care about those kids.
Yeah.
I care about this Technicolor dreamscape where there are missing children. And not only that, but a parent is missing as well.
Well, and Willy Wonka, although looks like he doesn't care, he does reassure Charlie that they're going to be fine. So there is like one throwaway line basically that they're going to be fine. And I liked too that Charlie gets actually tested by the whole burping scene, and like,
oh God, he almost died.
Yeah, and that's in the book, but it's not like they don't go through it. It's just kind of like mentioned, but in the movie they actually do like go through it. So he gets tested, but I like that at the end Wonka wants to dismiss them because he broke the rules that he signed by doing that. Yet Charlie's able to redeem himself by reassuring Wonka that he's not going to go to Slugworth. Yeah. Even after he knows that he's not going to get the chocolate, even after he knows like all this stuff and he's not going to win, he's leaving with nothing. He could at least leave with maybe, $10,000 or however much Slugworth is going to pay him. Yeah. But instead, he does the right thing and he turns it in because he knows wrong is wrong. And it's wrong to steal this from Mr. Wonka. And then Mr. Wonka forgives him, even though he broke the rules. Because Wonka could be a total dick and go, well, he broke the rules anyway, so I'm going to keep this. And you done fucked yourself up twice. So, no. Instead, there is like a lesson that's learned, and I love that. It's really good. And I think that's correcting it from the book. I think that it's better to have Charlie do something wrong. And by the way, Grandpa Joe's the one that kind of led him astray. I just want to throw that out there. Yes. He's the one that led him astray. And then he yells at Wonka and he calls him an inhuman monster. Don't you think that's a little bit of a hyperbole, Uncle Joe? Yeah. Or Grandpa Joe, Uncle Joe.
That's okay. Jesse called him Uncle Joe earlier, too. And I was like, no. Listen, pot, meat, kettle, Grandpa Joe. Once again, all the more solidifying the fact that Charlie should have taken his mother, because we all know a mom would have been like, I'm not going in there. I don't know what that does. What do you mean?
Put that down.
Yeah, stop touching
I'll beat your ass. Put that down.
He said, don't touch it. Don't touch it. Listen. If my mom and I went through Wonka's House of Horrors, we would walk out with the entire factory, hands down, not a scratch on me. Because my mom would hit me or something. She wouldn't hit me. My mom would do the thing that she does when we used to go to Disney when we were little. Like, my mom believed that you don't yell at a kid at Disney, which is something that a lot of people I don't think understand, Mm-hmm. Don't yell at your kids when you're at a theme park. You're spending too much money and making these core memories. The last thing you want to do is bother them, wreck that up with, screaming, yelling, threatening to spank your kid. What my mom would say is, wait till we get back to the car. And it was the scariest sentence I've ever heard in my life. Wait till we get back to the car. She would do that to me in Willy Wonka's factory.
My parents would count to 3. I have no clue what happens at 3.
Oh, yeah. The count to 3, the slow count to 3? No.
I'm 32 years old. I have no fucking clue what happens at 3. I never got to 3. I never let it get to 3. And I still don't know what happens at 3. I don't want to know what happens at 3.
No.
1? Fuck.
Yeah, that's... Once the first finger went up, you knew you could maybe have, like, another second to, like, think about your actions. And then when it got to 2, you're like, I'm done. I'm good. I'll stop. Whatever it was I was doing, I'm done. I'm done.
How much better would it be if, like, Charlie's mom was played a little bit more, like, realistically, like a Frances McDormand or like a Regina King, and she's just like working constantly. She's fucking over it. She takes him to the factory. He goes to the fizzy lip, and it's like, absolutely not. Put your hand back in your pocket. If I don't see it in your pocket, you're dead.
But that's the thing. Charlie would have never been tempted by the fizzy lifting drink if somebody else was his guardian at the factory. It was Grandpa Joe. Grandpa Joe is the problem. That's the thing. Grandpa Joe is the one who opened the bottle and took the first sip.
Yeah.
And handed it to Charlie. Grandpa Joe is a problematic character. If Charlie's mom had been there, Wonka would have been like, and here's our fizzy lifting drink. And she would have been like, click, click with my camera. Cool. Photo. And walked. And I have a hard time believing that Wonka did not know. Wonka knew. Wonka knew the whole time and was waiting.
He knew. He absolutely knew. And they throw like a hint in that he knows when it changes to the next scene, and they're in the egg room.
Yeah.
And then it starts, and the first line that he says is, "I know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
I can't believe they're doing it." And it's like, so it gives you a hint that he's talking to the crowd about what they're looking at, but he also knows that Grandpa Joe and Charlie just walked in the room and they can hear him. So he's saying it to them too.
Yeah. It's almost as if he's giving them an opening to apologize now for what you did. And he doesn't.
Yeah. I love that idea of like a character that knows and just wants to see how you handle yourself.
Yeah.
He's smart. I love Willy Wonka.
He's so... See, I told you he's single. If you love him so much, why don't you marry him?
No, Willy Wonka plays chess, and everybody else is playing checkers.
Well, that sucks for me because I don't know how to play chess. So,
really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And also, if you were to play chess with Willy Wonka, he's only got half a board.
That is true.
I love his office.
I love his office too, and I was looking at where like his hat is,
yeah,
and it's only like half the head. I'm like, that'll look really cute in my study.
Yeah, there's something. I love that the idea for it was like, they originally were just going to have him in an office, but they were like, after you've gone through all of that, you're really just going to go to the most boring place in the whole factory, an office. And I was like, that makes so much sense. It is practical, and it is both adult and child coming together in one room, and it is wonderful. I just love that whole space. I can't imagine what it must have been like to be the set designer and being able to do all that. Like, that would have been so much fun.
I just thought of something. I bet that somewhere out there is fan fiction that made my dream I just had a reality, where it's like Willy Wonka, but it's the character from Big, and they get to meet.
Shut up.
Because like Willy Wonka, he's basically just a big kid, and he needs another big kid to come in and run his factory. Well, I've got someone in mind, and his name is Tom Hanks.
Are you telling me there's a movie? Let's just throw it out there. A movie of Gene Wilder as Willy Wonka meeting Tom Hanks from Big.
How is that not the perfect pairing?
I want to cry. Like that's a beautiful film. I would watch it every day. Like it is. I want.
Imagine Willy Wonka walking into Tom Hanks's pad with like all of the games and stuff in.
And the
He would walk in
trampoline.
there and
Oh
be
my
like,
god.
this place is sick, bro.
Oh my god, they'd be besties for life.
They'd be best friends.
Oh my god. I want to see them play the big piano at FAO Schwartz.
Willie would. Oh, I don't like calling him Willie.
Mr. Wonka.
William Wonka. Will. I don't like it. I think it's Wonka. If we were dating, I would call him Wonka. Hey, what's up, Wonk?
You want to call him Mr.?
Wanka Wonka. I like the idea of Willy Wonka. And I think it's like often imitated, never repeated, whatever it's called. Like the character in Ready Player One, the main guy. He's basically supposed to be another Willy Wonka. And so much of his personality is copied from Willy Wonka, but he's not Willy Wonka. And Willy Wonka in this movie, more so than the book, is just such an interesting character. And you could tell in the years that have gone by that they've tried to replicate a Willy Wonka. And I often think that they get close, but they don't hit it. And there's just a magic to this character and Gene Wilder's performance and the little bits like whichever writer decided to throw in the quotes. It's just so good and so well done.
Yeah. And I really do think that it's Gene Wilder who really pulls the whole thing together. Like that's where the imitation and duplication, that's where it fails, is that I don't know another actor like Gene Wilder who could pull off any of the stuff that we've seen. Like, we don't have that person today. And I'm putting that out there now because I know Timothée Chalamet is shooting a movie where he's supposed to be young Wonka.
Yeah.
He's got some real big shoes to fill.
And I don't dislike Timothée Chalamet. I like him.
Yeah. I mean,
actually quite a bit. It's just I don't think it's necessary. And I'll watch it. I mean, if it's good, I'll say it's good. But
yeah.
There's just such a magic here that it's just not...
Yeah. That's the thing.
It's not able to be redone.
That's the whole thing, is that we literally just talked about, like, the way Gene Wilder looks at the kids, the way he doesn't even have to say anything. Him just being there, his presence is acting. And we talked a lot about Timothée Chalamet in our Little Women episode. And he is a good actor. He is. But can he bring the childlike wonder? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. And are they going to try and make this a little bit darker? Like, why would Willy Wonka want to make a factory? Are we going to talk about ice cream that never melts? Are we, there's a lot of stuff that's up in the air about this. And
there's something that he does that I love, that he says nonsense and then he looks at people like, duh.
Yeah.
And like when he like throws in the shoes and it's like, just gives it a little kick. Like he's doing like fucking bonkers things, but he's acting like it's all just perfectly normal. And you can't tell if he's doing it just to get like rile a reaction out of someone or to get some sort of like questioning from the person who's looking at him, or if he's doing it legit to do it.
Yeah. Oh my god, what would have been so funny thinking about it is if Wonka was like, and here's our wallpaper that you can lick and it tastes like things. And then everyone starts licking it and he's like, just kidding. It doesn't taste like anything. It tastes like wallpaper. Let's keep going.
There's one of my favorite episodes of Batman the animated series is Joker's Favor, and it's this thing where this guy is like afraid that the Joker's going to come after him to ask him for something. And then at the very end of the episode, you find out that Joker's been harassing him and following him for all of these years, and ultimately all he wants him to do is hold a door open. And then he's like, what? You just want me to hold open the door? And he's like, well, Harley can't do it. It's this like long, like 20-minute episode that leads up to just one punchline. And it's so funny because it's just so ludicrous and like surreal of a punchline. I love it. It's just so smart. Like, And that's the type of Willy Wonka realism that you get. Like, well, of course. Like, what do you mean? You guys don't have golden eggs laid by geese, and you're okay. Well,
oh, I love that part with the golden geese where Mike TV's like, "But Easter's over."
Yeah. They don't know that.
They don't know that. Like, they're geese.
That's so funny. Exactly.
He's worried they're actually gonna hear it and stop producing eggs. Like,
they've been tricked this whole time. See, but I like that. Like, he has kindness towards the Oompa Loompas, and he's much kinder to them and shows them respect in the movie more so than the book. Although I think there's still room for some improvement, yes. Mr. Wonka. Yet he's willing to, for the sake of like capitalism and making money, lie to these geese.
Yeah.
So that he gets more golden eggs to catch up to next year.
Geese
so funny.
They don't speak, they don't talk, they don't do anything.
Not that we know of.
I love those geese too. I can't figure out if what they did was filmed geese and then superimposed them over the other film, or if they just had big puppets, or both.
I love, I was trying, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I was trying to find some sort of like behind the scenes thing, and there really isn't a lot, probably because of the fact that it was made for a very small budget. It was not popular after it came. It made money, but then it kind of like fell into obscurity. So I don't think there has been a lot, of behind the scenes kind of stuff back in at that point where they could have gotten a lot of interviews and everything. But I think that is a practical effect. It looks like it's kind of like Darby O'Gill and the Little People type fuckery. Like, it looks like it's geese in a thing, and it's in a set where they are at a different level, so it makes the geese look bigger. Yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's something that I'm like fascinated. Anytime that there's a puppet type situation that throws me. Like, I don't know if they're puppets. I don't know if they're real geese. I am confused, and I love it. It's my favorite thing. I don't know.
I love the play with like the forced perspective and everything, and the like doing that with real effects and puppetry. It's very cool. I love that stuff. I will take that above CGI like any day of the week.
Practical effects are always better. Yeah. Oh my god, I want a hallway that gets smaller. I want one so bad.
Yeah, I do too. That part is so funny. And I like, what is it? No, the hallway's getting smaller. He's getting bigger. It's like, fucking idiot. Yeah. You think he's getting bigger? Like,
yeah. And that's Veruca's dad who says it too. And you're like, oh, well, I know where she gets it from. That. I love that. And I also love, to the point about him talking nonsense, like, duh, when they all go into the one hallway. And they're like, there's no door in here. How do we get out? And he, like, walks through the entire thing, squeezing past everyone. He goes, oh, here it is. And they're like, that's the door we just came in. And he's like, is it? Like, new room.
Which, by the way, that maybe now that you have written Rise of Resistance, it's the same surprise.
It is the same surprise.
See, Willy Wonka, do you?
Oh, my God. I've been bamboozled. It's my favorite word.
No, there is a certain like magic and these themes between like this and Wizard of Oz that hone in on all of this is bullshit. Mm-hmm. Like, the irreverence of reality in these movies, I think, are just so much fun. And it all boils down to like, what's important is to be nice and kind to people and to not be selfish. Like, these are the lessons, mm-hmm. And then the things that you should try to do more is just like, don't care about the stuff that doesn't matter. Be a little kid. Don't worry about it. Like, I think that's all very good. I think that's like a nice movie for a little kid to watch.
Yeah. That's because I was going to point that out too, is that, Charlie, when you look at him, he's the only kid who doesn't question what's going on. Mm-hmm. He just goes into the room and he's like, because he has nothing to lose. He's just like, you know what? Cool. The whole time. He's like, yes, put those shoes in that stew. Delish. Like, he doesn't care. Like, that it's so bonkers and out of this world like everybody else does. And it's true. Like, he's rewarded for being both full of childlike wonder and just his honesty.
Yeah.
And I wish more people had childlike wonder and honesty.
Yeah. Yeah. Same.
Oh, Christina, do we even have to ask the question? I
think we're on the same page.
Christina, what did you like better, the book or the movie?
I love this movie.
Yeah.
I love the movie.
The movie, I would pick the movie hands down every day of the week.
Yeah.
I will probably continue to skip Cheer Up Charlie, but the song just drags. It shouldn't have been where it was at. It probably should have come right away. But that's just my opinion. And even with all the Grandpa Joe shenanigans, I love this movie.
Yeah.
It makes my heart happy.
It really does. It makes my heart happy too. And it's one that like they play a decent amount on TV. So I've seen it on and off a lot over the years, but I haven't watched it beginning to end in one sitting in like a while. So that was really nice.
Yeah, same.
And I found myself really enjoying it.
Yeah.
And I think that like my love for this movie will just grow over the years. And my love for Gene Wilder. I love him.
Yes. Oh my God.
I love him.
Well, you can't have him.
No, I just think he's such a fun, interesting actor. And it sucks because I think that he's got these really big movies that everybody knows. And I'll be honest, like I haven't seen a lot of like the smaller ones that weren't popular.
Well, I know.
I wish that there were a lot more movies to watch of his.
Yeah. Before we get into the book list, because it is coming up, I just wanted to ask you one question. Christina, have you ever been to Sweet Pete's Candy Store in Jacksonville, Florida?
No.
Well, you should, because Julie Dawn Cole, who played Veruca Salt, her Wonka ticket is in that candy shop.
Ah!
I don't live in Florida. I can't go. I need you to go on a road trip for me.
Sweet Pete's Candy Shop.
Yeah.
Well, I have a husband with a really big sweet tooth, so I don't think this will take much.
According to what I read online, it is there. Go find it, take a picture of it, and then go buy yourself a Wonka scrumdiddlyumptious bar. It's the biggest candy bar the Wonka creates. But don't eat it so fast, you'll give yourself a tummy ache.
Does it bother you at all that for like his birthday they get him the one candy, but it's not the same as the bar? And I just thought like, well, why did you buy him that candy? Because I don't think that they're gonna put the gold ticket in there.
Yeah, it does. It is very weird. It's very like it's like they didn't want to get his hopes up, so they bought him like a candy they knew wouldn't have a golden ticket in it.
It's like knowing that you have to buy Hershey's bars and they bought him like a Reese's.
Yeah. His family wasn't.
Thanks for nothing.
Yeah, you guys weren't very supportive. And like, also Charlie once again is a little bit of a dick at his birthday in the film where he's like, I got it. And he's like, it's just chocolate.
It's just chocolate.
It's chocolate.
I do think that like it's sort of like I think it's like how they try to tell kids nowadays. It's this weird dance of you don't want to tell a kid not to have hope, but at the same time you have to give kids realistic ideas. Like you and I have joked about how our entire drama class of 2008 or 2006 and 2007, a bunch of people legitimately thought that they were going to go off and win Oscars and Tony Awards. And it's like, that's not how the real world, works. Yeah. So I don't necessarily advocate for diminishing the dreams of children, but I do think that like Pixar has the ability to recreate a Willy Wonka type movie these days. And the mom is correct. And instead the kid ends up like getting more of a realistic goal and they do nurture that instead. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I feel like that is something that is important to teach kids, but you have to have it in the right way being taught.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Well,
It's like when Killer Mike had that thing where he like went into the room of kids and they all wanted to be basketball players, and he's like, well, none of you guys are going to be basketball players. And it was funny in like the harshness of it, but it was also kind of an important thing that we need to talk about in society.
yeah.
So like I feel like someone like Pixar, you know, they get like a really cool auteur type director, and you're able to make a story about that.
Well, yeah. Well, it's the whole like participation medal thing. You know what I mean? We need to start reminding people that, unfortunately, we're not all good. Like, don't, you know.
Or that it's okay to, you don't want to be here in bed with, you know, Grandpa Joe pissing yourself in 8 years, but maybe the chocolate factory is not going to work, but that doesn't mean you don't have options.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're throwing the papers, and we can try to get you into a job or into college or whatever. And that's good too. And that's just enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, a more realistic goal is definitely what Charlie should have had. I mean, honestly, let's get real here. What do you do with a chocolate factory? I don't.
Diabetes.
Like,
That's probably in the works.
Big chocolate
Like
invented
Sweetums.
diabetes.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't see this be like, I got it. I have the perfect film. Okay? Picture this. Charlie has the chocolate factory. Duh. And he decides he wants to keep it in the family. He ends up marrying somebody, and he passes down the chocolate factory. Very much like Coco and Mama Imelda's shoes. It keeps getting passed down, and the Pixar film that we are talking about is now a film, much like Coco, where somebody owns a chocolate factory, and they want to pass it down to their firstborn. And their firstborn is like, I hate chocolate.
Yeah, I don't want it.
And they have to go out on a quest to find out where they belong in the world and where they would have been if their family hadn't been given a chocolate factory.
You know what I was hoping? You know the Soul movie that they did?
Yeah.
I liked that movie, but I thought it would have had a more powerful ending had he been like, and I'm just going to go back to teaching.
Yeah.
Because I figured out that my purpose is stronger in teaching music and art to this generation. And being a teacher is good enough. And being a teacher is important to society. I'm good at it, and this is my purpose, and I'm happy with it. Like, I thought that's where that movie was going. And you could even argue that maybe that is what he chooses at the end, but it's like, that would have been such a strong, important, and powerful message, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes that should be taught.
It should be. Look at us fixing things. We are the magic makers. We are
I
the
think Gene
dreamers
Wilder
of
would
dreams.
like this too. I think he would like my
I think he would
opinion.
too. You know what? He would want to be in our movies. I think he would definitely be in our movies. But we're not here to judge our films. Book list.
Yes.
Bum, bum, bum. And we're back. We figured out the book list. Oh, that worked. My singing is terrible.
That was beautiful.
Thank you. Because we are the dreamers of dreams. So, the book list, yeah. So, here's the new list. We figured out where Willy Wonka should go. Once again, this is all based off of a very scientific calculation of will we watch the movie again, will we read the book again, how page-to-screen adaptation-y is it. So, here we go. Number 1, this season's perfect baby, the diamond of the season, Casino Royale, followed by Dr. No, The Commitments, Cinderella / Ever After. We do have to, I think I should put that on the list so that we know what we're talking about, because we compared it to Ever After. And we keep forgetting. In 5th place, should I say it how I wrote it?
Yes.
William Wonka. 6 is Bridget Jones. And 7, How Stella Got Her Groove Back.
Yeah, it's one of those that I think I'll probably sleep on it. Like even this time around, like looking at Dr. No, I'm like, is he too high?
Yeah.
So I do think that as we work on this list and within the next few books, it'll probably get reworked a little bit, but sometimes you need some distance to obtain clarity.
Yeah, I definitely think with the next book, things are going to get shaken up.
I am so excited about the next book. The next book that we're doing is second only to Casino Royale in my excitement to read and talk about it.
I am. So, spoiler alert, everybody. My birthday's coming up.
Yay!
And we are once again doing birthday picks. What did I pick last year? I think I picked something bad. Wait, did we do birthday?
What was your birthday pick last year?
I don't.
Oh, did you pick Valley of the Dolls?
Oh, you know what? I think I did. I think I did pick Valley of the Dolls. You know what? We didn't even mark it last year. We didn't pick what we had for birthday picks. But I definitely think, Nope. We did Who Framed Roger Rabbit. That was my birthday pick.
That's right. Yeah, because mine was Hell House.
Yeah. Last year was Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It was A Genie in a Teapot. But this year, I think I picked a good one.
I think you kicked it out of the park.
Oh. We are you.
Sorry.
Are you okay? Are you that excited?
Sorry.
We're doing The Princess Bride. Yay! I love it. I'm so excited. It'll be my first time reading the book.
Okay, this is my first time reading the book. This will only be maybe the third or fourth time I'm watching the movie from beginning to end. And the last time I watched it beginning to end was probably 9 or 10 years ago.
Really?
For real.
Oh my God. I must put this movie on. I put it on a lot. If it's on a flight, I will watch it. I'm not one of those people who watches new movies on planes because I'm usually trying to sleep all the time. So I've watched it too many times. I'm so excited about I cannot wait to talk about it. Oh my God. Yeah. It's just marriage. I'm so excited. This is the best gift I can give myself for my birthday.
It's fun to go from, we did Casino Royale and Dr. No, which are so heavy and adult.
Yeah.
To go to Willy Wonka and Princess Bride, and it's just a bunch of like silly fairy tale little kid stuff, but done by a bunch of adults.
Yeah.
There's just something about it I find precious and the best. Like, I love jumping into this. Like, I don't know. It's a good feeling and I'm excited about it.
Yeah. Oh, this is gonna be fun. I cannot wait. I wish we were doing it like right now.
Yeah, me too.
But I still have to finish it.
Yeah.
So join us on the next episode. You are cordially invited to my Princess Bride themed birthday party.
I love it. Princess Buttercup.
That's my outfit. You can't take that one.
Oh, I have to come up with... No, I'm going to be Wesley. I'm going to be the Dread Pirate Roberts.
As you wish.
I always thought that it would be actually a cute couples costume if like Carlos dressed up like Zorro and then I dressed up like him.
Oh my God, yes.
Wouldn't that be cute? And I've got like lighter eyes. I think I could make it work.
I believe in you. Please come to
my
birthday.
All I have to do is grow the mustache.
You can do it. You have like 2 weeks.
Yeah. I'll try my best.
I'm excited. There's so much. Oh my God. I don't want to get into it. But yes, everyone, you are cordially invited to my Princess Bride themed birthday party. Let's do this. Let's rock it.
Yay.
But in the meantime, thanks to our very own man behind the curtain. I wouldn't call him a Willy Wonka, but the man who keeps the things going. The man who keeps the lights on. Jesse, what?
He's good. He's not like Willy Wonka good, but he's good. So thank you, Jesse.
He's not like, he doesn't put me on a boat and then spout real crazy stuff to me. He just fixes the podcast.
No, he's our Q. He's forever Q.
Yeah, he is forever Q.
Q.
I think that's definitely his whole sign off now, moving forward.
Yes.
So thank you, Q.
Thank you, Q.
And thanks to all of you who are now invited to my birthday party for listening. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe. Tell us how pretty we are, even though you never get to see us because it's just our voices. But it's much appreciated. And thanks, as always, to Christina.
Yay! Thank you, Nikki.
Oh, now I just want to go eat chocolate.
Same.
What are we doing? We should probably go eat chocolate.
Dangerous.
Yeah. We should. I think.
Gotta go find some.
Yeah, I think this is where we say good day, sir. And
good day.
I said good day, sir. Oh my God, I love it. Okay, let's go get some chocolate, Christina.
Okay, bye.
Bye.